All right.
So
So the first thing we're going to do is previewing the Vikings week 1 versus the Cincinnati Bengals, because we are a Minnesota based podcast, but we do just cover all sports, but we do focus on Minnesota heavily. Let's go like with the key matchups. We did have a comment from Ja'Marr Chase today stating that the reason he's dropping so many balls is because the NFL ball is too hard to catch, or harder to catch than the NCAA ball, because there's no white stripes on it, so it's harder to see.
Hard to see.
I've listened to some former wide receivers. I've listened to some former DBs. I played wide receiver for 1 year. Wasn't my favorite position, but I've listened to some pros, and a lot of them don't look for the ball until last second. So you're processing placement. You're not processing what the ball looks like. It's about reaction, putting your hands in the right spot. I think this is a very weird comment. I don't think any pro has ever been thrown off before by the NFL ball is a different type of leather. So it's smoother, slipperier. So it's harder to catch in that way. I would understand that.
Right.
And it's being thrown by guys that can throw harder than college, most likely.
Sure.
And you have to fit it into tighter windows, tighter coverage, all that stuff. But the white lines, that's so weird.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring that up because I feel like that's his way of, he's coming up with an excuse, but I think it's more than an excuse. Like,
right.
Anyway,
you see people drop balls all the time, and it's usually they're having their hands here, but their head's over here because they're already running, right? Like they're already moving on.
Justin Jefferson had one of those.
Yeah. So, and it's not the fact that like they can't see the ball, because they can see the ball. They know it's going to be right here. Yep. They know it's going to be here, but they're moving.
They hear footsteps.
Yeah.
They don't want to get hit. Some guys, some guys you see, so like you do the tree. Some guys, their tree is too wide and it often hit their chest, or like the ball will go right through because it's slicker. It's just weird. But he is one of those key matchups for me. I think Ja'Marr Chase versus either he's going to swap between Patrick Peterson, Cam Dantzler, Bashaud Breeland.
Yeah.
He probably won't play in the slot much. I think the slot's going to be taken up. I think Tyler Boyd is a huge matchup.
Yep.
Because I think Tyler Boyd is a huge mismatch. I think our DBs with safeties will match up well with Ja'Marr Chase, but I think Tyler Boyd's a massive mismatch. I wouldn't be surprised if the first Bengals touchdown is a pass to Tyler Boyd.
Yeah, I mean he's
over 30 yards.
He's a wide receiver too for as long as we can remember, and then he could easily be like tight end 1 in the right scenario. So
tight end 1,
wide receiver 1. I've been messing
Kyle
up
Pitts,
those spots.
Tyler Boyd.
Yeah. No, he could easily be wide receiver 1 in any scenario.
He's so good.
He had like a 3 touchdown game last year, I think, too.
He's very underrated. He's very much like Rashard Higgins, Donovan Peoples-Jones for the Browns,
Marvin Jones for the Lions.
They've been buried. They're not always considered the number 1 wide receiver, so they're not talked about, and they've been playing on teams that people don't always pay attention to, or there's other people they focus on, but they're really good. So
Tyler Boyd's really good.
I feel the same way about KJ Hamler on the Broncos. He's another receiver nobody ever pays attention to, but should have. I think KJ Hamler is going to have a breakout year. Just want to throw that out there. But so the Bengals matchups: Ja'Marr Chase, Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd, I think, is going to be the destroyer. I think the Vikings are going to handle Joe Mixon.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that the Bengals need to try to get Joe Mixon going, which is going to be tough to do. You know, we got 2 guys in the middle that are going to eat their interior linemen alive, and then you got Daniil on the outside who's going to want to make a point, prove a point.
The Bengals decided to go for wide receiver over. They could have had Penei Sewell.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be felt. I think Daniil Hunter is going to get at least 1 sack. I'm going to wince every time because I don't want Joe Burrow to get hurt.
Right. Yeah. So you want to get Joe Mixon going to take the pressure off so Burrow doesn't have to pass it every down, because we're just going to pin our ears back and rush the passer. So,
and if you let Eric Kendricks lay a couple people, lay a couple hits and get him into the motion of playing defense,
right?
You're going to have a rough day. Yeah. I think the Bengals are outmatched. I think so. The Vikings are 3-point favorites. I think that the Vikings are going to win it and cover it for betting purposes. By the way, I will preface all of our picks. This is not betting advice. This is like a legal thing. This is not betting advice. If we take what we say and spend money and lose money, That's not our fault. We're not telling you to do this. But I think the Vikings win it and cover. I think Zach Taylor is on the hot seat, the Bengals head coach. And I think it's going to prove why, because most people around the NFL, the insiders, the experts, think that Zach Taylor isn't head coach material. Most of those guys know what they're talking about. Just like most people in the NFL love Mike Zimmer. It's the fans that don't.
Right. Yeah.
Zimmer knows football.
Yeah.
Zach Taylor seems to be one of those guys that he's in too big of shoes. So I think there's a coaching mismatch that is going to take into effect. And I think the Bengals defense, their DBs.
Yeah. Speaking of that, how do you think the Vikings, so you talked about the Bengals offense, what they had to do to win. Yep. What about the Vikings offense?
I think Adam Thielen is going to get a lot of 10 outs, like 10 yards and outs.
Sure.
And I think Justin Jefferson's going to be going deep post a lot.
He's got Eli Apple on him.
So they have an incredible safety, top 5 safety in the NFL. Jesse Bates. He is absolutely incredible, but he can only help cover one.
Yeah.
Jack Conklin was given the good to go. So Jesse Bates, if he's
Tyler,
Jack. We now have an offensive tackle as our tight end. No, so Tyler Conklin was given the go. So we have Tyler Conklin playing. Chris Herndon's playing. So Jesse Bates can only help out with one. So he's going to help out Justin Jefferson because without Trey Waynes, Eli Apple's not fast enough. Nope. He has to get a 10-yard. So and that's the thing. So like pay attention to the depth of corner. So are they giving Justin Jefferson 5 yards? Are they giving Justin Jefferson 7 yards? Because most corners give their defender a half yard to 10 yards. If they give him anything more than I think 3 to 4 yards,
his route, like watching his workout videos like over the summer, his routes are so sharp.
Right.
It's just like
so if he runs that deep post, you're running him right into Jesse Bates. Yeah. But if Jesse Bates is having to help out down low, like if Jesse Bates has to come up into the box because Dalvin's been cooking, or if Jesse Bates has to help out against Conklin or Thielen, Justin Jefferson, that's when he goes over the top. Other than that, they're going to have to give Justin Jefferson space, which is going to give Justin Jefferson 5-yard curl, hit, and just without Trey Waynes, and now they lost Mackenzie Alexander this offseason to the Vikings. They just are extremely outmatched. Like Jesse Bates, I wouldn't be surprised if he has a pick this game. Kirk averages about a pick a game, and if I were to pick one person on their team that gets a pick, Jesse Bates.
And what about the X factor? I don't know how good their front seven is comparatively to ours, but if we can stop Joe Burrow or Joe Mixon in the run game, how's Dalvin going to do?
I was looking at this earlier.
Dalvin's projected 80 yards and a touchdown, I believe, is what people are.
Yeah, I was looking at this earlier. I think their inside linemen are better than their outside. So I think Ogunjobi and Reeder are better than Hubbard and Hendrickson. Hendrickson's a new guy from the Saints.
He's good.
He's good, but I don't think he's amazing. And then their linebackers are
yikes.
Yep. So I think I would bet if I were putting money on it, again, not advice, I think Dalvin's over the 80, and I think Dalvin gets at least one touchdown. Is it combined yards or rush yards?
Rushing yards.
Okay, so just rushing yards, that's a good number. 80 is a good number. I think combined yards, he's going to clear 80. Sure. Trey Hendrickson is going to be getting blocked by O'Neal.
Okay,
and then
that's who we want.
And then their linebackers aren't like, I don't know. It's young. It's a mismatched coach versus a young defense. However, one thing the Bengals have going for them, this is Kubiak's first time being a play caller.
Right. Yeah, we get to see him in game now.
He has never called plays.
His preseason, either he was hiding a lot or it just wasn't good. So
exactly.
So we'll see.
So I'm really worried about that. That is my biggest thing. I think the Bengals have no area besides special teams. I think special teams is where they beat us. The Vikings, our final prediction was, I think, 26-13, or was it
27?
So
27-30, something.
27
30?
would be 4 touchdowns and a missed field goal, or 3 touchdowns and
4 touchdowns and a missed extra point.
Yeah.
And then if you got a field goal in there, it'd be 30.
Okay. So my official prediction on my notes was 26-13, but I think when we discussed it was 30-13. Either way, I really only see Tyler Boyd getting a touchdown, and I think Joe Mixon's held out of the end zone, and I think Jamar Chase is held out of the end zone. And I think it's Vikings win by definitely more than 3. That's just what we think. I think it's a mismatch at coach. It's a mismatch at wide receiver and D-back. Tyler Boyd is the best player the Bengals got against them. So, and then the best defensive player is Trey Hendrickson, Henderson.
Bates. Yeah, outside of Bates. Yep.
Yeah. So Bates is going to be helping. He's not going to be like locked on one-on-one. Sure. And then Trey is getting guarded by the Vikings' best lineman.
Right.
So I think this is an unfortunate matchup for them. There are teams that they do match up well against, and I don't think the Vikings are one of them.